most frequent question I get asked is, how did I end up this, and I guess to explain it, I mean, like I said in my first video or my one of my other videos, I've been, I knew it 6th grade or 6 years old, first grade. I knew I was different. I mean, I knew there was nothing I could do about it, and I just, I went with it, and I hoped it was a phase. And when I went on in life, and once I mean, it was hard, but once I got in high school, just because, I mean, it was the thing you had to do. You had to date, by a lot, boys had to date girls. So I I started dating one gal when I was 15. I started dating this girl, and we just didn't work out. She ended up switching to a different school, and it didn't it there's no way for that to work out. So um, that one ended, and I started dating another girl, which was just, she was a year younger than me, and I really, really liked her, but she was a little bit of a hoe. We'll just put it that way. And so, so we only made it about 2 months, but, and I dated a few other girls in here and there, and I met, the woman I ended up making my wife. And, I mean, she was, at first she seemed really nice, but I was young and naive. And, she was as narcissistic as you could get. Bad. I mean, she wouldn't take the blame for nothing. Everything was always my fault. And, she was as unfaithful as you could get. She was always cheating. And when our daughters were like 5 and 9, she ended up just woke up one morning and she said how horrible of a husband I was, and that she was leaving and I could keep the kids. And she just disappeared for like quite a while. And I ended up taking her back after about 6 months, which was a big, big mistake. That started the ruining of my life. And at that point's when I started feeling more feminine. I didn't feel like I belonged with, in that. And, and we ended up staying together another, let's see, after that would have been about another 14 years. And in middle of 2017, I found out she was cheating again. Our youngest daughter had graduated. So, I mean, there was nothing holding us together. And we both kind of agreed she wanted to move on. I wanted to move on. And, I mean, she knew about me by that time, So, I mean, I never cheated on her, ever. But, she knew about what I was. So, we separated. And after we divorced, I waited a few months, and I decided I was going to start dating. Well, I met this one gal. She lived quite a distance away. And, we just, this is on a dating site. And we decided that we were going to meet at this restaurant. It was supposed to be halfway, but I mean, she had to drive 20 minutes. I had to drive an hour, and which I didn't care, and I drove down there and I met right up with her. And I mean, I was going to meet up with her. She never showed up. She just left me high and dry at the restaurant, just plainly ghosted me, disappeared. And that hit hard. I didn't hear from her again for close to a year. She messaged me up, I'm sorry, blah, blah, whatever she said, I don't remember. But, and then, about 2 months later, after she stood me up, I went, met another gal. And when we were getting ready to go out, she said, are you going to pick me up on your Harley? And I'm like, I don't have a Harley. And she's like, well, I only date people with Harleys. And I'm like, okay. So that one disappeared. And then this other gal, she lived about like the one did that stood me up, about within 10 miles apart down in the city, down Detroit area. And, we decided we were going to meet. And then she's like, but I don't have a license. Can you pick me up? And I'm like, nah, okay, well, we'll do this. And I thought just a date would be fine. And she said, pick us up. And I'm like, who's us? And she's like, well, me and my daughter. And I'm like, okay, I like kids. And come to find out, her daughter was married with kids and a husband, and she wanted me to pick them all up, bring them all the way up here to my place, let them hang out for the weekend, and then take them all the way back down to the city. And it's like, nope, I ghosted her. And I decided at that point I was done, you know, and from there, that would have been like in the fall of like 20 or 19 or something. Yeah, it would have been the fall of 19. And right around New Year's, you know, I got, you know, I was going to just experiment with my sexuality a little bit, you know, and just hang out with some guys and see how I felt. And I started talking with this guy online, and you know, we talked for a month or so, and about, you know, middle of January, you know, he's like, can I come up for the night? And I was, you know, dressed nice and everything. I'm like, you know what? Yes, come on up, you know, because I wanted to see how I felt with a man. And he came up, and I mean, I can talk better with men. I can, you know, I got along better with him, and you know, but I didn't know how much further I could take it. And then he just jumped up and gave me a kiss, and you know, I mean, things led to another, and that's when I realized that, you know, I'm better with men, but it was still in my head that I had to be with a woman. That's the only way to do it, because I'm a Christian, you know, and this girl was a secretary where I worked for a while, and we divorced about the same time, and we always got along, and you know, she called me up one time when I was in the truck, and she's like, hey, well, it's more like, hey, sweetie, can you bring me a salad from Subway? She said what she wanted. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And because we were getting along good, and I brought her the salad. I mean, it was the hugs, the, you know, little kisses on the cheek and stuff. And I mean, this happened for like a whole summer. And it kind of felt like we were already dating, you know, and finally, you know, toward the end of summer, I'm like, hey, you know what, let's go out to dinner tonight. Oh, I don't date. I'm like, well, you know, I mean, it kind of felt like, you know, no, that was just you being nice. And I'm like, I quit bringing her stuff after that, you know, and she got all just mad at me and wouldn't talk to me no more. And it's kind of like, you know what, you used me all summer acting like you were interested. And then, you know, then all of a sudden it's, you know, I don't want to date. And it's like, come on. That was my last straw. I don't even look at women anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still love the beauty of a woman and all that. But honestly, I fit more in with men. I just get along with them better. And sexually, I'm better with men. And it's just, it works better for me to be with men. And I had a boyfriend for a little while, you know, because I mean, I've been single and alone now almost 8 years. So I mean, had a few boyfriends here and there, and a couple of trans friends that you know, one comes over, you know, 2-3 times a year and hangs out with me, and because I'm single, I live alone, and I mean, I can have company pretty much anytime I want. And you know, I mean, I've met some really, really nice men. I've also had some that scared me so bad I had to send them home. One guy was just creepy as can be. I don't know what his problem was. And the other guy, he got rough with me. I mean, we'll just say he got rough with me. And I'm like, you know what? I don't play this way. I said, you know, go home. I'm done with you. I don't like playing these kind of games. But all in all, I've met some really, really nice men, and I'd like to almost, you know, if I could, I wouldn't mind finding something more permanent with, you know, with a man, and you never know, maybe there'll be a woman come along someday. But how do I go from being with men, and you know, knowing I don't know if I'm even bisexual anymore. I think I'm just, you know, just homosexual. I don't know. I don't know how to look at it. But, you know, how do I go from this to, you know, back to being with a woman? And I mean, I've got thousands of dollars worth of clothes in my closet, and shoes and hair and everything. And I don't think I could switch to go back to a woman. But, you know, that's pretty much how I ended up where I'm at. If any of them women would have worked out, I guarantee you wouldn't see me sitting here today. But the way it worked out, I mean, I'm happy with who I am. I mean, just sitting here looking at myself, I love who I am. It's just, I don't know if everybody else does.